Top 5 Feminist Fails. Number 5. Fat Feminist versus Milo.
In more detail with us is Natasha Devon, founder of the Self-Esteem Team, a campaign group that works with teenagers on mental health and body image, and writer and broadcaster and mischief maker, Philo Yiannopoulos. Let's see how we get on today. It's great to see you, Natasha. Congratulations on the MBE, by the way.
Thank you
for taking the time to join us this afternoon. You presumably, I'm sure you welcome the decision. What impact might it have?
I think body image, the more I learn about it, the more complicated I realise it is. And things like mannequins and adverts, they're symbols, really, I think, more than anything, of the pressures that women face. So,
but the fact is, women are getting more unhappy. And this sort of slightly irresponsible trend to sort of encourage people to eat whatever they want and do whatever they want is is one of the things that's fueling an obesity crisis. And that's a really serious thing. That's a real thing. That's something that's got health implications, it's got cost implications for the NHS. The problem isn't too many anorexic women. The problem is quite in the opposite direction.
There's so much wrong with what you just said. First of all, the message is not eat whatever you want, sit on your sofa and eat lard all day. The message is live a healthy lifestyle and then see how your body ends up. There's quite a wide spectrum within which the human body can exist and be healthy. Human beings come in lots of different shapes and sizes, and that should be reflected in retail, because after all, it's us that's spending our money on those clothes. There's also evidence to show that our thin worshipping culture is actually what's fueling the obesity crisis, that it makes people feel shameful.
I don't think that anybody's complaining about having realistic types if they want them in certain places. The problem is when you start sort of bullying retailers into getting rid of aspirational body types, making clothes look worse in the window. I mean, if you look, when a woman goes shopping, for example, she quite often looks at clothes that are a smaller size than she'll actually wear, because she wants to know how that garment's actually going to look. These sorts of aspirational...
Not sure that's true, but go on.
Well, I love how we're being told what women look for when they go shopping.
This is obviously you're from the sort of mansplaining school of feminism, which of course also hates capitalism, as we heard earlier. And there's always, what I really don't like about this debate is...
Finish her!
When I said, women are getting more unhappier every decade, I'm not just pulling that out of my behind. Women these days report, as compared to even 50 years ago, they're far more depressed. They're far more likely to report themselves as generally unhappy with life. They're far more likely to be single, and they're far more likely to contemplate suicide. And a lot of this has got to do with the fact that after 30, women do struggle to be happy if they're not in relationships. And part of the reason that many women are not in relationships is you've got these weird celebrities like Lena Dunham, who put sort of, being quivering and blobby and unpleasant as a sort of virtue on our screens, encouraging women to turn themselves into quite unattractive, sort of spectacles. I don't think that's particularly healthy for anybody, but ultimately it doesn't really affect men. It certainly doesn't affect me as a homosexual. It just affects women because you're making women unhappy.
Number 4. Gavin versus Fat Ginger Faggot.
Single women in general are making less than men.
Here's another thing that's never occurred to you. Have you ever considered the possibility that Mima is lazy?
No, she's not lazy. She actually worked a day job, a night job, and a weekend job.
What's she doing right now, though, besides sitting on her ass making sweet tea for a fucking beta male ginger sphere?
Mima got 5 hours of sleep a night for 30 years. She got 4 or 5 hours of sleep. She raised 3 children on her own because my grandpa was a deadbeat loser.
Yeah, well, that's the tragedy here, is the lack of men in the family. And I'll take your hit with Mima's hard work. I'll assume you're not lying. But for the most part, single moms are lazy. And it's a really shitty thing to do to a kid.
What?
Become a single mom knowingly. Most single moms are single moms by choice. And look what they create.
My grandpa
look at you.
Was a terrible person. He was also...
Look in the mirror. Grow a fucking beard and wear a camel hat. You're in Georgia.
First of all, I have a beard, okay?
No, a beard. Not a gorilla mask. All right, bye. I've had enough of you.
Yeah, peace, asshole.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Grow a fucking nut.
Number 3. Gavin versus dried up cunt feminist hippie.
The dominant narrative in America is white people are evil, white people suck, we should be ashamed of ourselves. And
I don't think we should be ashamed of ourselves. I think that we should take responsibility for the system that we've created.
The best system in the world?
Oh, we do not have the best system in the world.
Who has a better system?
There are many European countries that are much better off
than
us.
You mean like the European countries with a higher density of whites? Like Northern Europe?
Gotcha, bitch! That's one way to phrase it, I guess.
You don't mean Turkey.
No.
You don't mean Eastern Europe.
No.
With the communists. So the only time you can come up with a system that's better than America, it's a country that's more white than America.
Smoke weed every day.
Fucking right in the pussy.
You don't mean Turkey.
Hold up. Hey, for my niggas who be thinking we soft, we don't play. Hope you're ready for the next episode.
Number 2. Feminist senator gets fucked right in the pussy.
You've restarted,
let me
fair
just
enough.
stop you so you don't waste a line of questioning. I'm just giving you...
I love the mansplaining. I'm enjoying it.
You're loving what?
The mansplaining that's going on.
What do you
Well, just
mean?
talking me through how by not answering the question, by repeating processes which are not related to the question that I've asked.
What's mansplaining, Senator?
Well, it's the slightly patronising and condescending way that you're responding to my questions.
Well, I would suggest, Senator, that if you're putting the word man in front of some description of what I'm doing, you're doing that which I'm sure you're very much against, is making a sexist implication about how I'm conducting my role as a man.
Well, then the easiest way to do it...
Is that what you're saying, Senator?
Well, what I'm saying is that the way you've been responding to me has been patronising and condescending, and I have responded to that. So the easiest way to deal with this is not to have that way in responding to the questions I've asked.
Imagine the reaction, Senator, if I said you were woman-splaining. You're saying that I'm mansplaining.
Well, it is a term that's used.
Is it by whom?
Well, it is a term that's used.
By rude...
Doesn't make
by rude senators. By senators
no.
who are seeking to make gender an issue. Stop being a hypocrite.
Well,
Conduct yourself
it.
Appropriately for this
well,
place.
I'm sorry you're so offended by the use of the word. It is a word that's used. I'm surprised that you're so shocked by the use of the word.
No, I'm just calling hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. Thy name is Labor. Thy name is Senator Gallagher.
Number 1. Perpetual frowny face cunt feminist fuck gets downed, rigged and deleted from existence.
When you sort of do the blind tests, you know, when teachers know the gender of the person who's studying, boys get mocked up in sciences.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the stereotype threat, which is when girls identify themselves as being female by writing their own name on the top of the test, they will do worse. It has been shown that they will do worse because they know that they feel that they will probably fail.
Perform better at university. More girls are getting... Well, okay, so we have to ask...
Girls perform better at university.
You have to ask if this is really a problem. More women are going to university, they're getting higher grades at school, they're getting higher grades at university,
20% of all
more women
A-level
graduate. Women in their 30s
20%.
earn more than men for the same work in their 30s in the UK and the US now. They are 2 to 1 more likely to get a job with the same qualifications. Where's the structural bias against women here? I don't see the problem here. What I do see, actually, is a very reasonable complaint from a lot of young men, not my generation maybe, you know, I'm sort of 10 years older than them, but from a lot of young men who are going to university, going into the workplace, and they don't recognise the world you're describing, because it's not their experience. When they go for a job, they are discriminated against because people are desperate to hire women. When they go to university, more women are doing better all around them, and they feel as though being held up to feminine standards of behaviour, being whacked on Ritalin because they're too boisterous in the playground, or not getting the same support that women do at university, that society
and what about mental health issues that men have?
Would you like to make a final point, and then I'll come to you?
Of all A-level physics students, only 20% are girls. How can you possibly say that we're in an equal environment where girls are coming out and studying science as much as boys are? We are absolutely not, and we need to make sure that girls feel that science is for them and it's not just for boys, and they're not being pushed out of it because of who they are and because they might cry and because they might be self-reflective.
But this is based on an assumption that there ought to be some kind of gender parity. My suggestion is that there isn't. We don't complain when women dominate subjects like nursing. We shouldn't complain when men dominate subjects like physics.
We're going to have to leave it there. We could chat for another hour on this. Milo, Doctor, thank you both very much indeed for joining us here on Sky News. We'll continue this.
Subscribe for more wrecked feminist videos.